Great.
Appreciate it.
Well, welcome, everyone. It's 6:30 PM, and I will call this meeting to order. Item number 2 on the list, review and approve minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over the
Yes.
November 14th?
The correction came out on this one.
Looks good.
Looks good. Motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next is review and sign bills.
No bills this evening.
No bills. Great. Next item, board member comments. No? I just want to provide just a quick update, more to follow at the next meeting, but Habitat for Humanity sent us an email. They've identified a potential parcel,
Oh, wonderful.
and we will be looking into it to see if that's something that can be used to develop. So it's a half-acre lot that's zoned residential, and it looks like it has the water and sewer already set up, so.
Oh, beautiful.
Looks good, so far so good, but we want to make sure that we check off all the boxes.
Do we have an address for the parcel?
Um,
I think it's 18 Latour.
Latour Street, 18 Latour.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Anyone else? No. Let's go to new business, vacant town-owned parcels.
Yeah, so this item, I think over the past couple of months, I have been working along with the housing coordinator, regional housing coordinator from the CMRPC, and kind of looking at, I think this was kind of brought about in terms of looking to kind of, create affordable housing on town-owned vacant land, and how we could do that. And I think identifying first what are the parcels, like having the list of town-owned parcels was the first thing. And now I think we developed a rough criteria that I think we can work with. So I think a few days ago, we met with John Holbrook, who's our GIS coordinator here at in town. And the goal is to get that list, with the GIS and coordinate with the trust and evaluate the criteria and kind of develop, so we have the rough criteria and then maybe looking at more kind of using those criteria to actually maybe having some data to kind of, and ultimately have a formula. So like when we put in a layer on a GIS, it kind of can quickly show of like, okay, when we put in all our formulas, it can, have a list of top 10 parcels. And I think again, while we are doing that, I think we can also simultaneously look at parcels. And I think Director of Planning, Chris's concern was we might run into a similar problem in Grafton where we put all our effort into identifying parcels, and then and then we kind of still come up with certain problems, like they identified a parcel in town center for redevelopment, but that's a lot of controversy and people kind of want to keep it that way. And so kind of being mindful of what are some, along with, constraints like conservation and open space, there might be other constraints and things that that other residents might be, hesitant about. So we need to kind of have that openness, and also kind of because of the large availability, there is, it's a time. I mean, it's a process that takes some time, but I think it's worth the effort to kind of look through that and continue to develop a more solid criteria.
Yeah, similar to what I think we looked at some that you put up on the screen last month, where
Right.
Access, having the road already set up.
Right.
The utilities are there as
Right.
well. I think that will be part of the criteria that you will be
Exactly.
putting in there.
And I think, again, I identified 10 Rockwell Drive and 9 Rockwell Drive, and I think
Correct.
those two are really good. And also there's a large parcel that is abutting Eaton Pond. It's around between General Avenue and Main Boulevard, and there's a bunch of parcels that are like 0.3 or 0.2 acres, and they're all just like 39, 40, 41, 42, and they're all kind of either municipal or Article 43, which was, Article 43 is tax titled. So a lot of those parcels, I think, and there's more flexibility because, if there's not too many abutters and the only abutter is the Eaton Pond on the right, so maybe that might be more, kind of easier to digest for people rather than something which is in the middle of the neighborhood, so kind of keeping in mind what type of, kind of reaction, or rather than that, kind of how do we kind of balance the needs of, housing with open space concerns and other, conservation resources. So kind of all of that is very important. And kind of going on that note, the Greater Boston Housing Report Card, I think, was a very insightful document. I should have emailed. There was a YouTube video I found a couple of days ago on that, so I think that'll also be helpful. But I think from that, I think one of the main takeaways that I took was, again, like in choose, we have a lot of municipal-owned land, and even from that, we use a small percentage. We can kind of develop housing while also kind of protecting open space, and also the challenges, I think, with developing any town-owned land, where Chapter 30B, which is the state procurement law, every time a town wants to develop housing, it first has to declare the parcel as surplus, and once it declares the parcel as surplus, it has to go to a town meeting vote for it to be used for affordable housing. And once it gets voted, you have to the trust will then set out an RFP or a bid for different developers, and if we're working with Habitat for Humanity, kind of they will write up a proposal, and then we accept their proposal, and then they will from the funding process, and how do we look at the funding, our own fund, trust fund, and then the CPA funds, and then we also have fee in lieu from projects in Shrewsbury that have paid fee in lieu, as opposed to having affordable units. So kind of analyzing where are different sources of funding, as well as so like it identified the challenges, but also kind of there is a process of how we can do that. And it kind of, in some towns, it takes a long time. So maybe just strategic about how many units we are building. Like, I think having duplexes, and I think, again, we are not proposing for having multi-units in a single-family residential community. I think that's not what we're doing. But also kind of increasing housing stock, but also keeping, within character of single-family residential zoning districts, or where there are two families, I think that is because a lot of our existing multifamily housing districts are already built up. So if there were, we would have, proposed it over there. But, I think it is important to note that we have, we can create, housing for people, at least to be between 60 to 80% AMI. And I think that can be a useful thing to do. But yeah, do you have any questions about that? I mean, it was just mostly that were the insights I wanted to kind of the trust to get from that report. It talked in a lot of it. The first part was talking about the housing crisis, and with the rents really high, and the homes being out of reach for a lot of first-time home buyers. I think that was very insightful. And then the second one was how can we use public land to help solve with a crisis.
So, I had a question, the pipeline. So
Right.
I know that, we have, list of parcels, opportunities here as well. So I think that, after we identify, the list, the top 10,
Right,
it's, try to figure out which ones we can hopefully, develop earlier in the process and then put together something what's gonna look like in the next 3 to 5 years.
right.
So we know then what's going on and then we can just plan accordingly. I think that's going to be key. Any other questions? What else would I? So we have, these will be also, the program is deed restrictions, but I put ground lease here. I was just throwing that out there, and I don't know if that's even feasible here in this process, using town owned land, and instead of, selling it, or selling it for a reduced fee, but also have a ground lease, a 99-year ground lease or something, so that then, we will still have the affordability restrictions still tied to it,
Right,
but also reduce the cost of, the purchase or the acquisition.
yeah, and I think, reading that, I think CPA funds can only be used if there is an affordability restriction. So we will have to do that if we intend to use CPA funds.
Right.
We'll have to have explicitly in the deed that there is a restriction in, how, of the unit.
Correct. And I'm looking at that, having the deed restriction, and can we also have a ground lease as well?
Right,
So
yeah,
have somebody else try to get that answer.
Yeah.
But, just trying to look at any
That's a good
opportunities
question, 'cause
that we
would
can get.
reduce the cost
right.
significantly.
Good.
Can I just get a point of clarification?
Yes.
So this property, the Habitat for Humanity Latour Street, so this looks like it's owned by the town? So we have to go to town meeting and get the okay? to
So even
build-
before we even get there, we have to first identify, confirm that that is buildable.
Okay.
And it checks
And
off.
surplus,
Yeah.
right, if I'm understanding correctly, and then go to town meeting and get the okay to build?
Yes, so, okay to bowl, from town meeting there's a extended RFP process, which can take a while. And then you kind of hash out, and then with a lot of, cause they need to get their financing, the nonprofit that's helping with, cause, so they will, once they have that project finalized, it'll take time for them to do that. So there's a lot of things that need to be considered even after it, is approved by town meeting.
So does
So it is a
town
long process.
meeting establish a price? Or are we able to get it at no cost, at a discount, or is it, like, how is it priced, that land, or how would it be?
Well, I think I would have to get
Just-
back to it. I'm just
okay.
thinking, what is decided at town meeting?
Right,
From what
right.
I've read, it's more about the use of it and the disposing of it and whether they agree for that.
Okay.
I don't know about the cost. How would they?
Like, I know somebody brought up, well, we don't want to give the land away, we want, they should pay X amount of dollars or something, is that, like,
I think in the process so whatever the value is on the GIS.
okay, so,
The value of that land, I think the intention is for, a developer to pay that and acquire it from us once we are approved to, I think that's the process the town meeting vote is to sell it to the developer intended for affordable housing purposes.
okay,
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 thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions? No. Where are we? Did we,
MH.
MHP Affordable Housing Trust, the webinars?
Yeah, so that was a very, useful resource that I found through the Mass Planners list. It's just like a list of all state planners, kind of, we can answer each other's questions and any other resources we shared amongst ourselves. But this is something I came across and I thought it would be very useful, not only to the trust, but to me as well, because I think I'm still learning about all the different kind of the statutes of the CPC and the CPA funds, and kind of what are the different restrictions of using the funds and how we can use it. And then also learning the relationship between the Affordable Housing Trust and the CPC when it comes to CPA funds and how we can use that. And I think and then I think what really important at the end of the video was like learning how do we kind of how do we collaborate with the CPC, and also how we need to keep that open line of communication. I think that's right. We're starting with the fund agreement. I think we're planning to reach out to someone from the CPC coalition, I think, to kind of learn more about the funding agreements and how do we hash that out. And even for projects, any project that we have, it's important to have funding agreements for those as well, that I learned. And then, how do we complement each other? Like, there are areas where with the Housing Authority or with the CPA, or the CPC, we should not, vie for the same projects, not necessarily that we do, but kind of keeping in mind that we have that open line of communication, and that, we are, all of us, the end goal is, to increase the housing stock, to lower increase the supply and lower the costs. So, how do we do that? And also kind of, connect. There are a lot of other things of like, how do we get it to, or reach out to people and residents that, how do we connect housing with the broader issue of other social issues, like poverty, like, income burden, housing burden of like how many people, whether you are a renter or you are a homeowner, many people spend at least 30% of their income on housing costs alone. And so, kind of bringing awareness to that is also important, but also kind of being like, we are cognizant of any, any kind of like hindrances or any opinions people may have, but I think cognizant of that. And I think also balancing people with, places and systems of like, yes, the town bureaucracy can be very overwhelming to people, and a lot of people may not understand the process of why we do things, and we need to explain to them, why we do this, and have that open line of communication as well.
And this is a monthly series?
I think it's just for the month of December. I think there's going to be a summit in June. I think we're planning on attending. I think if you will plan on June 2025, I think either the week of the 13th or the 7th, I can finalize the dates, but I think it's all going to be like housing related issues, and people from trusts all over Massachusetts, or like at least the Metro West area maybe, and then central Massachusetts. So I think that would be a good opportunity.
And that would be in person?
I think that'll be in person in Worcester. It was there last year.
Definitely would be interested. Great. Any questions?
Just a small question, I think. Or maybe even a suggestion. I don't know. Maybe you've already done this. Sharing, if you could share those videos and opportunities with the CPC, I think would be great, so that we're on the same page.
Oh, yeah. And I think, those videos are meant for both. And I think they're on YouTube now. I think they're recorded, so I can send those recordings to all of us. I think it would be good to review.
Yeah. I think it'd be great as we try to, build our relationship with the CPC and, just making sure that both of us have a better, firmer understanding of what it is that we can achieve together. And
Yes.
I think it just be, we have the same goals.
We do.
So us
Work
heading in the same direction, I think would be great.
Great, thank you.
That's a great suggestion. You're welcome.
Next item, Regional Housing Coordinator update.
I kind of put that in there as a placemaker. I wanted to know, I think, I was not sure if DCFA was able to attend today, but I think, kind of attended SNEPA, so I might, give an update on that. I think Chris was working on a memo that I think we can also send out to the Affordable Housing Trust, and I can also work on that as well. And I think the plan is to continue to work on this and then also kind of receive any updates that she has about the towns that she works with in Upton and Berlin, and those as well. And I think the next time I can ask a report about the 495 Metro West meeting.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Next item, discuss possible partnership with the Shrewsbury Housing Authority.
Yeah, so I think this was on the agenda. It's kind of a placemaker, and kind of I just wanted to give an update on what what has been done since last time. So I reached out to the chairman of the Shrewsbury Housing Authority, and hopefully I tend to meet him sometime in the either next week or the next few weeks, and try to kind of discuss about what type of partnerships we can, and collaborations we can, on certain projects that we can do. I think, again, the Northborough example of how they use for the 3 duplexes that they're building from the community advocate with Habitat for Humanity's help, I think was very insightful. And then also from the greater, the report card, there was a section that working with the housing authority, because housing authorities also own land in many parts of town. So working on with them, there'll be less, kind of the bureaucracy of the process, the procurement process, and that will kind of, not be as arduous or very long. So I think that could be something we could work on. And also, I think we talked about other programs like preservation of units, and I think they have a lot of units that have been existing for a while. So I was just wondering, how do they maintain it? Do they get state funds, or do they get other types of funds? And I think the rental assistance program that we discussed, that I think would be useful. I talked with Chris, and I think a lot of towns, there's an existing RAFT program by the state. And so I think Chris wanted to make sure that we are not competing with a program that if there's funding already from the state to do so. Because there was ARPA funds, and then there's also a RAFT. So trying to make sure that we are, using our funds to efficiently and with the best projects. So we need to make sure that we're not competing with any other state program. So I would need to find that out if the housing authority is issuing that through the state program or some other entity.
Any news on the Elizabeth Street project?
I think they were, in the email, they were going to, I know I've been watching their, I think I need to review their meetings. And I think they're also kind of, at the last few, they've been in their, the proposal stage, but I would need to look at updates. But I think hopefully in the meeting in the next couple of weeks, I can find that out.
Any other questions?
No, you asked my question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think I just have a comment back to the rental assistance program. I mentioned at our last meeting that the select board had created a residence assistance program, which included some rental assistance in there.
Right.
Along with utility assistance, and I just wanted to share in case you all missed our meeting on Tuesday, but we originally allocated $100,000 in there, and we were able to use up most of that money, which is great. So we did have to reallocate it because we have to use it before the end of the year, calendar year. But just wanted to share that there is need out there, and it was great that we were able to, as a local government, assist our residents in that. So I think it's something that we should definitely try to continue pursuing.
How long was that? Like, when did it start? And so it's probably going to end soon? Is that the?
My blood sugar is low, so that's sound. I'm forgetting the date that we created the program, but I think it was through, I'm forgetting when the deadline was. I want to say it was sometime in mid or late November, but I could be wrong on that. I'm fuzzy on that.
Right.
Yep. And was this rental assistance or utilities?
It was both.
Both.
Yep. There's different, I'd have to pull it up. And again, my blood sugar's low, so.
Nope.
My memory is not the
want
the best right now.
I have anything.
What was it?
You want a lifesaver?
No, I think I'll be okay. But, yeah, it was both, utilities, rent, mortgage, late payments. So it was different amounts.
And 100,000. And that's, okay.
So
That-
do-
That's for the whole year, or was that monthly?
That was for
For
the,
the
that
year.
was for
For
the
the
full year.
program,
That
for
was
the
the
full
full,
year.
like,
Okay.
in the program.
Do people, residents apply for it?
The residents
Is it-
apply for
okay.
it. There were, you know, eligibility requirements and all that, but, you know, it was still just a worthwhile thing that we did, which was
And it-
great, so.
And I think the Grafton Affordable Housing Trust continued that after the ARPA, but I'm not sure if they're currently doing it anymore. So, yeah, if that need is still there, I think we can certainly work with
Yeah.
that. And that can be our, I'm not sure if that, in our short term, and I know there's our short-term goals and our long-term goals. So kind of looking with that, the housing versus
Yeah.
that, I think it's a good
Can
idea.
I just commend the select board for taking that money and putting it towards the residents of the town. I think it was just a great thing that you all did.
Thank you. I'll
Welcome.
share that message.
And it
They
just-
got it. They got it
Yeah.
on the register. They got it
One
here.
final question. So the demand, meaning that the number of applicants, so that exceed what was available? So were there still some that were not helped?
That I'm not sure. It was all done through the town manager's office, so they
Mhm.
have all of that
They have that
information.
information?
I do not, but.
Yeah.
Right.
Be curious
Right.
to know,
Yeah,
you know, if, you know, there were still some families out there, you know, that, you know, missed it because, you know, we exhausted the funds, or the funds were
Yeah.
exhausted.
Exactly.
Might be something to think about.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. To do something in the interim of,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
how to help.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
No.
No. So we have, this is our final meeting for 2024.
Mhm.
Happy holidays, everybody.
I-
Year.
Another year.
We have the schedule, meeting dates.
Mhm.
It's part of the handout. And still sticking with the second Thursday of the month, looks like.
Yeah,
That
still
looks like
sticking
it.
with the second Thursday. I'm just going to, there are two dates that, so I think, so like I just used the planning board meeting and I just took that and kind of, changed that document, but kind of, giving the month, to review days, just in advance for you to kind of be aware of what are the dates for the meetings next year. And I think the, July, I would have to look again, but planning board meetings, the dates are, what is the date for July?
The 10th.
July
The
10th?
10th. I think that might be
Should be.
it might be a conflict with the planning board. I'm just gonna do July 10th. Yes, the planning board is planned for that day because it's the second Thursday of the month that way. So, and that's because it'll be July 3rd, the day before, the 4th.
Fourth,
So
yeah.
the planning board's gonna have that, so we're gonna either shift the date or, have it in the conference room A or another, so depending on your preference, either shift the date or have it in another room. So we can kind of talk about it as we get closer to the date. And then I think a date in 2026, that is not on here, but I can put that for next time, but I think that's the only time. But if you are on vacation or any other days, please let us know. I know, the January meeting is on the 9th. I wanted to kind of let you know that I'll be on vacation, and
I will also be there.
so we'll need to
So
think
that's
about
it.
what is the plan for January.
Yeah, we'll have to pick another day. We can't have this here without
I know,
two key stakeholders.
right.
I think I'm going, and I'll be back, I think on the 18th or the 19th. So kind of, we can pick a date, or if it's late enough, have it in February. If it's already, So
We have-
what's your preferences?
5 Thursdays in January, so,
Yes, and the fourth Thursday, I have another commitment.
The 2nd is the day after New Year's,
Yeah, that's
and then the
that's
9th, the 16th.
you'll be gone the 16th,
16th.
I'll be gone the 9th, the 16th.
okay,
And the 23rd doesn't.
And I'll be
work.
back from the 23rd.
okay.
But then that's like the last. So the 23rd or the 30th. But then the 30th is already, at the end of January.
Right,
Oh. Let me see, is it? Oh,
Might be good to keep, that if we can do the 30th, only because, we might get some information
Right.
on the town-owned land, and also follow up on the email and the, from Habitat for Humanity. I
Right.
think that's the key there.
I'm okay with that.
I think there's been, I think with Josefa, I apologize. I think there's been a miscommunication. I think we had it earlier, but I might have not communicated properly. So we're kind of at the end, Josefa. If you wanted to kind of give a quick update. No, it is totally my fault.
I got the invitation at 7.
Yeah, I know. I think 6:30 because of the. No, it's really not your fault.
sorry.
I think I forgot to add you in that invitation, but
No, I have to.
no worries.
No, no, we're good.
I'm gonna eat it.
Okay, so I guess my quick update is I ended up going to the 495 conference today, and it was pretty good. I'm hearing Governor Healy talk, and they were kind of talking about zoning and how zoning changes can happen, especially with single families, single family zoning, and incorporating ADUs. That was kind of, I would basically say, was kind of the topic of discussion and conversation in terms of that, and how ADUs could be used in advantage to increase housing. And they talked about the housing bond bill and how it's basically going to be a pioneer of its first of its kind. So that was kind of the discussion and the topic that was discussed in this conference. But I am so sorry. I
No,
thought that
it's not your fault because I think in the with the new, because I thought I did with the invitation or the emails, but I might have not included you. So I think it was only with the Affordable Housing Trust members. I apologize.
no worries.
Are there any updates from your other towns?
For the other towns, it's kind of been slow because I think the holidays are coming. So that's kind of been what's been going on with the other towns. I've gotten a little bit of email correspondence with Mendon right now, actually, and how they are trying to work through their septic system to have a housing development going, and it's in Providence Street. So that's about that with that town, which I think could be relevant for us. Besides that, I know Kushal and I were talking about perhaps doing a joint meeting with Mass Housing Partnership to try to do like an affordable house trust meeting. Maybe that might be also
Yeah,
helpful
like
for
having,
these towns.
a couple other trusts, talking with Mass Housing or the Metro Housing Partnership, either of them, and trying to like work towards of like what are some of the issues we are facing and how do we see like how our other trusts, working on their thing, and also kind of, having that, I think, I think one of the goals was to reach out to other trusts as well. So I think in using the regional housing coordinator, I think that is, and just see if I can kind of help us all gather and, communicate with each other. But yeah, so I think kind of scheduling that, I think Shelley Gehring, is it from
Shelley
Mass
from
Housing or
yeah.
MHP, one of
That's
those?
house,
MHP.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that was, and then that was from the conference. She was a speaker at the MHP. So I think they are a useful resource. But yeah. I think we'll continue, Jasifa, with the town-owned land. I was just giving an update on how we're going to work with the GIS to kind of help develop a layer or like a map or heat map showing where are the top developable parcels that we could use that could be developable in Shrewsbury, given the criteria that we kind of hash out later, the rough criteria that we had, and then look more into developing a more solid, refined criteria.
And we're gonna
Okay.
send you also an address for you to look at as well, to put into the list and see, where it fits with our model as well. So it's an email that we received from Habitat for Humanity. They identified a location as a
Oh.
potential development site. So we'd like you and the team to actually look into it a little deeper, and hopefully at our next meeting on January 30th, we'll have an update.
the next year.
Yes. But
Okay,
thank you,
sounds good.
thank you again, and, I apologize.
No, I apologize,
Jumping in.
Jasifa. Thank you.
Oh, wait, does the meetings start at 6?
No, it was today. It's a special at 6:30. Usually it's at 7. No, you're right. It was just because they're started earlier today.
Okay, understood. Okay. So the meeting on the 30th is at 7.
At
As of
7.
right now, yes.
Okay, sounds good.
We will let you know if
I
there are
will
any
let
changes.
you know. Now I remember. Yes, I will let you know.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
great. Any other questions?
Sorry.
No.
No.
Motion to adjourn? Oh, hold it.
So-
Oh. Any correspondence? Just look.
I think that was the only
That
correspondence.
was the only
that you
one, right, that we
mentioned,
had there. Great. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
For